Welcome to chapter 3.3. Today we're going to cover how to create rows and column binding from vectors. So just a quick example as to the basic dimensions that we're going to be talking to. One of the biggest hurdles in programming is getting the abstract thinking as to how the shape would be, or the shape of an object would be in 3D space when it's being done on the computer. This is something that we see a lot of people struggle with in the beginning. So the more you practice this, the more you read upon this, and the more you start writing, the faster you're going to see how this shapes out in your code. So a one-dimensional vector is going to have one row by n columns. So here we just have one row by 4 columns. Each individual yellow block is going to be one row, as you can imagine. Now the next one is a two-dimensional matrix. So you're going to have an X and a Y, but you're going to have 2 columns now, and then three-dimensional, pretty self-explanatory here. You're going to have multiple matrices stacked on top of each other. So something that we'll be covering is how to combine the rows and the columns. There's going to be a lot of times when you're going to have data objects, whether it be data frame, an array, or a matrix, and you want to go ahead and combine the 2 values into one table so you can gather all the data in one central location. The way this is done is you can go ahead and do it by combining the rows. So adding a row to a matrix is fairly easy. You're going to be using the function rbind. That's the command that's going to be used, and your basic syntax behind rbind will be passing the variables that you want to combine. So variable 1 here is going to be matrix 1 followed by 2. If you take a look at the console here, I've made 2 different matrices. One is it matrix example, and then one I created a vector that we're going to turn into a matrix. So at the very bottom we see combined by row variable. You pass on the function rbind, combining int matrix example by matrix 2add. And just to verify that this actually was done correctly, we're going to go ahead and type out the variable into the console, and it's going to return the value of the matrix. Another way you can go upon doing this is by combining the columns. So you can go ahead and add column to a matrix by using the function cbind. Same exact notation, but you're actually going to be combining it by columns and not adding it to the rows at the very bottom. So we'll be working with very similar variables here. We have int matrix example, that's going to be one matrix. We have the second variable, which we're going to call matrix 2add, and we're going to go ahead and apply the matrix function to vector 2add. We're going to fill it in by rows so we have the same shape on both ends. And then following that, we're going to go ahead and combine them by the columns using cbind. Once again, go ahead and print out the matrix, ensure that the information is stored correctly and in the right shape. And just to verify the type, we're going to go ahead and use the is.matrix, and you pass in the variable in. The console will go ahead and return a value of true if it was done correctly.